Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Prepared. We have a video from PoliceActivity. Big shout out to PoliceActivity for allowing us to use this video. We linked it down below so you can watch the entire thing. I'm just going to do a reacts, and it's a doozy. It's crazy. It's actually really crazy. It's crazy because it points to a larger issue that a lot of men and women who are in high-stress jobs face every single day, and we'll get into it. Let's start off with a narrative of what happened or what took place on November 13th, 2023. So a recent video in Florida, out of Florida, a deputy showed up at 8:42 a.m. in reference to an initial call of a vehicle driving around, honking its horn and disrupting the peace at 3 in the morning. A second call for service came in from the woman stating her boyfriend, 22-year-old Marquise Jackson, had committed grand theft auto, a felony offense, and had been calling and texting threats. The victim provided that the message, she said, had been taken from inside her vehicle, showing what appeared to be a firearm suppressor pointing at the dash of the victim's vehicle. So this is the ex-boyfriend pointing the gun at the victim's vehicle, and it has a suppressor. This is important. This is like an important clue in the context of what takes place. Jackson showed up at the scene around 9:09 a.m. and was detained, searched, handcuffed, and placed in the rear of one of the deputies' vehicles. Let's go ahead and roll that now.
Pat him down, please. Pat him down.
Good job on the officer to do a immediate check because they got information that the suspect was potentially armed with a suppressed firearm. This is where it gets interesting. So another deputy shows up on the scene, and they're going to do a secondary search because of the information they got. So he's in the back. He goes to put on gloves, walking towards the vehicle. Let's go ahead and roll it.
Shots fired! You know. I'm hit!
All right, let me go ahead and stop it there. So he's in a gunfight, fighting for his life, no doubt. I mean, it's obvious by the video, he's fighting for his life. Here's the catch. Nobody was shooting at him. Supposedly, the initiation of that firefight was in Acorn. This is not a joke. An Acorn initiated a gunfight because likely this deputy was disassociated, had information or intel that there was a suppressed firearm. He's literally putting on gloves to walk to search the suspect, and Acorn hits the vehicle and kicks this entire thing off. Now, he mag dumps inside the vehicle after announcing shots fired, and mag dumps to slide lock, where the slide is locked to the rear because he's out of ammunition, and announces that he's been hit. Here's also a catch. He wasn't hit. The suspect was in the back of the vehicle, was not armed, and was being shot at because of the Acorn. As he fell, he likely tripped on his own 2 feet. He probably felt some kind of injury or impact from the fall, and then he announces he's been hit. And let me continue to roll it. All right, here he's low crawling across the ground with a slide lock pistol, seemingly fighting for his life.
I'm good. I feel weak.
It looks serious by all accounts. Let's go on and show the video from the other deputy's perspective.
Okay. Do you know your tag number off the top of your head? Okay, it's okay. What? Let's go! Where? Right there? Jesse, are you okay?
All right, so she backs her partner up. He announces shots fired. He's He's taking shots from inside the vehicle. He mag dumps an entire mag, 15 plus rounds into that vehicle, and then she backs him by doing the same, and she puts some rounds in the vehicle. Now, luckily in this situation, the suspect that was innocent in this case survived. He wasn't armed. Nobody shot at anybody. So they did an investigation and found that neither of the deputies were going to be criminally prosecuted of anything. All right, so I read the comments down below in Police Activity, and there's a lot of different opinions on this. Here's what I know from my experience in seeing something similar to this in combat. If you work at a high level of stress all the time, which certainly first responders do, people in uniform, downrange potentially do, you are constantly at an elevated state of stress. Cortisol, norepinephrine, all these mechanisms that allow you to survive, that facilitate your survival, they are ready at a moment's notice to kickstart you into potentially fight or flight or a sympathetic nervous response. So imagine, in his head, he's mentally modeling this whole thing, and he's walking towards the vehicle, putting on gloves to do a secondary search because he heard that the suspect might have a suppressed type of firearm. As he gets closer, he hears what he thinks is a suppressed type firearm shooting at him from inside the vehicle. It was an Acorn. That's neither here nor there because he thinks it's a gunshot. That kicks him into this elevated state, which we see in personal defense when we train it. In personal defense, when we train it, even in a training environment where we expect contact, any scenario that involves somebody who potentially could take our lives, we see this activated even in people who are trained, where you say to them post the scenario, hey, how many rounds did you fire? 5. You fired 8. What'd you see? The person had a black firearm. The person had a cell phone, right? So a lot of us don't realize when we transition from parasympathetic, this rest and digest, just kind of living your everyday life, your best life, and then when you transition into this fight or flight, even when conditioned, you're still going to have transitional issues that affect your physiological understanding of what's taking place. I often like to say, like, you're not going to film in 4K like you're used to. You might be filming in 8mm, dissecting and disassociating, which is definitely what happened here. So he fell and impacted the ground by tripping on his own 2 feet and thought he had potentially been shot because he felt like his legs felt weird. I mean, he says it in the video. So in combat, in several instances, I've seen this, even blue on blue. I've been around several situations that included losing both indigenous and American forces because of friendly fire. I lost a guy in our company, Bravo Company, 2nd Battalion, 3rd Special Forces Group, because a private on a remote weapon system thought he was taking contact from a 9-banger, which is a flashbang device that bangs 9 times, that was thrown into a courtyard during a multi-joint hit between the 2-2 SAS and our company. When that happened, because everybody was elevated, you're in combat, you're expecting contact, he saw the flashes, he likely heard the bangs even from inside the striker, he initiated contact and winded up killing one of our own. Now, that's tragic, but it happens. You don't really expect to see it in law enforcement, but you don't know what people are going through. A lot of these law enforcement officers don't have outlets. They're dealing with other stresses that you deal with in everyday life, and then something like this happens. It kicks off. It's like a recipe for disaster, and there's a tipping point. We don't know all the things that led up to the tipping point, but certainly it was. Now, all of these things lend itself to primal survival because we want to live. We want to survive. There's a lot of law enforcement officers that need help in managing these things. That's why we advocate, like a lot of people, like Police Post, for officers to get in jiu-jitsu. It's not just about being able to control and combat situations. It's also getting in the right mindset, exercising mental resilience, and also bleeding off stress, allowing yourself to bleed off some of the stress and manage it better. Guys, I'm off to the underground. Thanks to all my patrons who support this channel at patreon.com/Mike Glover. Until next time, peace out, guys.